And Queen Mary of Denmark has marked an important milestone for her twins just days after her father's death. The royal put on a brave face as she attended the confirmation of her twin children, Prince Vincent and Princess Josephine, at Fredensborg Palace Church on Saturday. And more than 300 humanoid robots participating in China's second robot half marathon on Sunday will be facing tougher terrain designed to test their technical advancements as Beijing seeks to develop the industry into a major pillar of its economy. Over 70 teams, almost 5 times as many as last year, will be competing in the 21 kilometers, 13 miles race in Beijing that includes paved slopes and parkland.
That Jacob Elordi and Kendall Jenner have drawn all the attention to their seemingly budding romance after they were spotted together at Coachella. The 28-year-old actor has come back to Los Angeles after the music festival in Indio, California, and fans are still looking for signs to confirm his relationship status with the supermodel 30.
And in a bid to get ahead of the United States, US in an already intensified space race, China is all set to launch a specialized hub for satellite manufacturers and operators that will be known as Beijing's Satellite Town. According to the state-run Beijing Daily, China plans to complete the town in the second half of 2026. And Finn Wolfhard landed in hot water after he recreated Taylor Swift and Kanye West's historical VMAs moment from 2009, which gave rise to a since long-standing feud between the two musicians. The 23-year-old Canadian singer quoted West in his performance, in which he humiliated Swift, who was a young artist at the time, and praised Beyoncé on the stage. And 5 people were killed in Kyiv on Saturday after a gunman opened fire and took hostages at a supermarket in the Ukrainian capital before being killed during an arrest attempt. Officials said Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that at least 10 people were hospitalized with wounds and trauma after the shooting, which took place in a residential district in the city's south. And Iran has not agreed to another round of talks due to careless US pressure tactics, which include President Donald Trump's blockade of the Strait of Hormuz and other unreasonable demands, the country's state-run news agency reported today. And Iranian officials said both sides must first finalize a basic framework of understanding before any further meetings can take place, and warning that premature talks without agreed principles could trigger renewed confrontation rather than progress. And Iran's Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei warned Saturday that Tehran's navy was ready to defeat the US and Israeli forces as the foes sparred over the Strait of Hormuz. In a series of posts on X, Khamenei said, "In the same way that the drones of Iran's army strike the US and the Zionist murderers like lightning, its valiant navy is also ready to inflict new bitter defeats on its enemies." And NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang warned of the US AI dominance as Chinese AI chatbot DeepSeek is looking forward to optimizing its models to run on Huawei chips instead of American hardware. In an appearance on a podcast, Huang said that DeepSeek is planning to strategically shift to Huawei's CAN platform instead of NVIDIA's CUDA.
That Prince Harry's rift with Prince William and King Charles has widened the breach between the royal family and the Sussexes. The Duke of Sussex reportedly feels utterly betrayed by the King, with insiders citing 2 major issues that burned all bridges between the father and son.
And the White House has involved the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, and all other relevant agencies to investigate the series of deaths and disappearances of high-profile US officials privy to the space and nuclear secrets. According to Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, the government has vowed to leave no stone unturned in its efforts to uncover the truth behind the missing scientists. And Karach. An angry mob set a water tanker on fire after the driver of the heavy vehicle ran over and killed a motorcyclist in Gulistani Jauhar on Saturday evening, according to police and rescue officials. Speaking to Dawn, Sharia Faisal station house officer Imtiaz Hussein Shah said that a 40-year-old man was riding a motorbike when a reckless water tanker driver ran him over and crushed him in Block 18 of Gulistani Jauhar.
That Karachi. The State Bank of Pakistan, SBP, said on Saturday that the government had paid $2 billion to the United Arab Emirates. Earlier this month, a senior Pakistani official said Abu Dhabi had sought the immediate return of 35BN. The funds were part of external financing support extended in 2019 to help stabilize Pakistan's balance of payments.
And Pope Leo sought to downplay his feud with US President Donald Trump on Saturday, saying reporting about comments he has made so far during his Africa tour has not been accurate in all its aspects. Speaking to reporters in English aboard his flight to Angola for the third leg of his ambitious 10-day Africa tour, the first American Pope said comments he made 2 days earlier in Cameroon, decrying that the world was being ravaged by a handful of tyrants, were not aimed at Trump.
That Minister of State for Finance Bilal Azhar Kayani held an extensive interactive session with members of the business community, exporters and media representatives at the Karachi Chamber of Commerce and Industry, KCCI, on Saturday. That where he said the government is committed to inclusive, consultative and growth-oriented economic policy making ahead of the federal budget expected in June. That the minister expressed gratitude for the invitation and thanked prominent business leaders Javed Bilwani, Zubair Motiwala and the KCCI leadership for facilitating the engagement.
And WrestleMania 42, the two-day flagship event of World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE, is all set to take place at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas on Saturday and Sunday, April 18-19. This will mark the second consecutive year that Las Vegas hosts the WWE's most popular show. The event is scheduled to start at 6 p.m. ET and will be on ESPN Plus for US viewers, and the international viewers can watch it on Netflix. And King Charles gave locals in a quiet Scottish village a moment they weren't expecting this week, dropping in on a family-run shop in Aboyne to mark its 100th anniversary. The King on Tuesday arrived at Strachan's of Royal Deeside, a long-standing newsagents and whisky shop founded in 1926, where he was welcomed by Lady Saltown, Vice Lord Lieutenant of Aberdeenshire.
That Iran's military has imposed strict control over the Strait of Hormuz, closing the waterway for normal traffic, days after authorities declared it completely open. The move sent global energy market shockwaves, bringing uncertainty back. That Islamabad. Bushra Bibi, the spouse of former Prime Minister Imran Khan, approached the Islamabad High Court on Saturday seeking suspension of her sentence in the £190 million corruption case on medical grounds. Bushra is serving a 7-year sentence in the £190 million corruption case, which pertains to giving undue favours to property tycoon Malik Riaz in retrieving his laundered money from the United Kingdom. Her appeal against the conviction remains pending before the High Court. That. Despite recently being designated a supply chain risk by the Pentagon, Anthropic is still talking to high-level members of the Trump administration. There were earlier signs of a thawing relationship, or a sense that not every part of the administration wanted to cut off Anthropic, with reports saying that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell were encouraging the heads of major banks to test out Anthropic's new Mythos model.